It might thrill drivers, but countries relying on oil exports to finance their economies aren't happy about current price levels. For the last 3 months, oil has been heading steadily downhill. At the start of October, a barrel of North Sea Brent crude stood at a respectable $86. By the end of November, it was struggling at $57, though it's stabilised for now at $60. That's causing oil producers a lot of financial problems. So much so that the Organisation of Petroleum Exporting Countries has put production cuts high on the agenda of its latest Vienna meeting.
What we need is a fair price, and 50 is not a fair price.
And what is the fair price for you?
For me, it's a bit higher than 50.
How much higher?
The rest is secret.
Economics 101. If output and hence supply falls, prices rise. The US is by far the world's largest oil producer at 14% of output. Russia is the second largest. Canada is way behind. All three are not OPEC members. Uniting 15 countries, OPEC is responsible for 42% of global oil production, giving it the main sway over pricing. The organization's most important single member is Saudi Arabia, which alone pumps 13% of the world's crude supply. But not everybody's happy about the idea of falling supply and rising prices. Least of all, US President Donald Trump. He appealed to OPEC on Twitter not to cut output. At the same time, though, non-OPEC member Russia said it's ready to implement output cuts, as has OPEC heavyweight Saudi Arabia. The talk in Vienna is of a 1% production cut.
Now, for more on that story, let's cross over to Paul Christian Britz, our man at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange this week. So, Paul, OPEC is aiming to cut output. It now says sort of cutting it sort of just enough in order to get the right price for oil. But they're waiting for Russia, it appears, to go ahead.
Yes, indeed, they are. The Russian energy minister is actually flying back to Moscow to speak with President Vladimir Putin about this and then come back Friday with hopefully a decision. Russia has agreed to cut by about 150,000 barrels per day, but OPEC wants pretty much double that, with Russia arguing that it's harder for them to cut in a time of winter when the weather is cold. It is an interesting power play, and Russia has been playing hard to get even before the meeting. And it can do because it has grown closer to OPEC in recent months. And for OPEC, it is in the interest to have a general consensus about how much can be cut so everyone profits as much as they can, while OPEC controls about 43% of the entire market. Just Saudi Arabia, the US, and Russia, who are not part of the OPEC, control nearly the same amount. So it does make sense to get everyone on the same line.
Indeed. Talking about the general market, I believe that the German DAX has fallen below the 11,000 mark. Why is that?
Yeah, lots of different factors playing into that today. The Huawei situation, obviously, with the CFO in custody, that possibly sparking more issues in the U.S.-China trade conflict. So that's one of the big worries. We've also got Brexit, and we have the OPEC decision that's somewhat unclear right now. All of that is weighing on investors, and well, it is about to be Christmas, and with no sign of a Christmas rally, you know, people want to make sure they got to get enough money in their pockets and take out the risk.
Okay, Paul Christian Britz there from a somewhat subdued mood at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Thank you so much.